This is The Run Wave, candid chats with real runners about topics that affect the running community. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Run Wave podcast. I am your host, Kim. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the family. If you are a return listener, welcome back. I truly appreciate you tuning in week after week. This weekend is a very busy weekend in New York City and running in general. It is the New York City Marathon Weekend, and I am kind of excited for this one. I'm not running it this year. I was supposed to be, but I'm not. But I am going to be out there cheering at Mile 9 in Brooklyn. And I'll also be partaking in some of the pre and post New York City Marathon festivities. Today's show is all about the New York City Marathon. This is my New York City Marathon guide and stuff that you need to know if you are running the New York City Marathon. So I am sort of a New York City Marathon vet. I've run the New York City Marathon 4 times. I've volunteered at the marathon 2 times at Mile 16. Now, Mile 16 is once you come off of the 59th Street Bridge, you know, you're on that long incline going up the 59th Street Bridge, and you come down, you get a nice little break on a little hill. I think that bridge is like 1.5 to 2 miles long, and you come around the bridge, off of the bridge. There's all the people. They give you another pep in your step. You round the corner and you're on First Avenue, and it's like the long pathway to heaven because it's a straight shoot right up to Harlem. And right at the bottom of that, at Mile 16, we would be right there volunteering, but they added those silly city bikes. I mean, they're not silly, but they take up a lot of street real estate now. So the city bikes are at the top of Mile 16, and the water station has moved a little bit further down. So that's where I used to volunteer for the marathon. It was a great experience. And I actually volunteered before I actually ran the marathon. And anytime you volunteer at such a major race, it gives you the bug to want to run that marathon as well. So volunteering for that marathon, the next year I did my 9+1, and then I ran the marathon following. So yeah, volunteering was special. It is special. And if you ever get the opportunity to volunteer at any marathon, especially New York City, definitely do it. So I know New York City is my favorite marathon that I have run so far. So I have done 2 of the other majors. I did Chicago and I did Berlin Marathon. New York City Marathon is my favorite, not just because I'm a born and bred New Yorker, but there really is just no other marathon like it. I mean, the crowd support is bananas. Just imagine thousands of people screaming your name, and don't forget to write your name on your shirt so people will scream your name. Just screaming your name for 26.2 miles. Now, the only time you don't have people along the course is when you're actually running across the bridges. So those are the only moments of kind of silence while you're running this race, but all of the other moments in this race are just pure adrenaline, and the crowd really gets you through the race. But another reason why it's my favorite is because the medals are just so much better than all of the other majors. Sorry, other majors. So let me just show you my medals. If you're listening, you can't see them, but if you're watching, go watch this video on YouTube. You can see these medals. So here's my 2015 medal. Pretty. And I think 2016 looks a lot like 2015, but it's just a little bit bigger. Pretty. Lady Liberty in the middle. And then 2018, they switched up the design a smidge. Now, the New York City Marathon medals, they're all kinds of the same, and they switch up the design a little bit. They switch up the shape, but they all kind of have the same theme. And then the best one was 2019, where they changed the shape to an apple. So it was like the big apple medal, which is, the apple is like the symbol of New York City. So I think the apple is my favorite medal. Now, comparing these to my other 2 medals, oh my God, the Chicago medal. Look at the difference in size, right? And this Chicago medal, the year that I ran it was 2016, October 9th, 2016. And I got the medal that looked like a vagina. It really did look like a vagina. And then my Berlin medal, the Berlin medal is kind of unique because they put a runner on the back of each medal. Mine was Josiah Thugwani. This was when did I run Berlin? 2017, September 24th, 2017. So the front of the medal looks the same on all the Berlin medals are all the same. And then they have a different picture on the back, and they have this cheesy ribbon, which looks like the ribbon from my medals in like elementary school. It's the same ribbon every year, but just comparing the two, the New York City Marathon is just far superior than other marathons. So just another reason why you should run the New York City Marathon. And this is not the guide. It's just my personal 2 cents. And trust me when I tell you, the New York City medals are well worth the run. Okay, now on to the guide. First things first, if you are coming to New York City, be prepared. This is not Florida. This is not Georgia. This is not Texas. This is not the Midwest. New York City was once the epicenter of the pandemic. So we take COVID very seriously in New York City. So if you do not have a vaccination card, if you haven't been vaxxed, be prepared because you need a Vax card to get into New York City restaurants if you want to dine in. A lot of New York City restaurants have outdoor dining where they set up like these makeshift huts, kind of. They're like made of wood and plexiglass, and they're in the street, and you can eat in those, but a lot of them don't have heat, and it's cold. It's cold in New York City. It's November, y'all. So yeah, no indoor dining. You need to mask up if you're taking the New York City subway, the train, if you're taking the buses, any public transportation, you have to wear a mask. Now, to go into stores, I still wear my mask even though I'm vaccinated. The rule in New York is if you are vaccinated, you don't have to wear masks in stores, but most people still wear masks, and a lot of businesses will have signs on the door saying that you have to wear masks. So just wear your mask, y'all. Bring your mask to New York. We don't want y'all cooties coming into our city. Be safe, wear your mask, and let's just keep this whole marathon weekend COVID safe and COVID friendly. So wear your mask. Now, to get into the expo, you have to be vaccinated. So I hope that a lot of you have read through your marathon materials because you need a vaccination to get inside the Javits Center, which is where the expo takes place. Now, there is pickup outside of the Javits Center if you are not vaccinated. I don't know if they're going to have like the same shopping experience that we usually have at the expo outside. I doubt it. I don't know what vendors are going to want to sit outside and sell products in the cold, but we'll see what happens. We won't know until we get there, but keep that in mind. If you're coming to New York, if you live in New York and you're not vaccinated, you cannot go inside the Jacob Javits Convention Center to experience the expo. You have to do big pickup outside. Now, I am not sure if spectators are allowed inside the expo. You know, I went on New York Road Runners website. I read through the materials. It says you have to have an appointment time to pick up your bib. It didn't say anything about spectators because usually the Javits Center is public and everyone can just go in to the expo and look around and buy stuff even if you're not running. So that is something different for 2021 and COVID precautions, so something to keep in mind. I am going to go to the Javits on Saturday after my Shakeout run and see if I can shimmy up in there, but we'll see. I'll let y'all know. I'll keep you posted on Instagram stories. I'll be on stories on Saturday to let y'all know. Okay, let's go through the marathon weekend day by day. So Friday, this is something new. Normally you would check your bag on race day. When you get to the marathon village, the UPS trucks are there. You drop off your bag and the UPS trucks drive your bag to the finish line. This year, you have to do bag drop on Friday in Central Park. So this is directly from New York Road Runners. Runners must have registered in advance for this bag pre-check option through their NYRR dashboard by Thursday, September 16th. So if you didn't register for bag drop 2 months ago, you ain't gonna be able to drop no bag. Sorry. Unlike previous years, the 2021 TCS New York City Marathon will not offer runners the opportunity to check a bag of their belongings at the start of the race on race day. Instead, runners will have the option to check a bag at the, I never pronounced this name right, the Namberg Bandshell, the Bandshell in Central Park, where the races start in Central Park, on Friday, November 5th and Saturday, November 6th from 9 to 5. So remember, you cannot bring your clear bag to the start line of the New York City Marathon as we always did. You have to drop your bag on Friday or Saturday in Central Park. Now, if you didn't do bag check, which you shouldn't have, you get a poncho at the end of the marathon. Now, where's my poncho? See, I'm giving y'all all the inside tips. And I have 4 ponchos because I never do bag check. So this poncho is pretty nice. Now, they have been giving the same exact poncho out since I've been running this race. There is no year on the poncho. I don't know if they ordered 1 million of these ponchos and they're still stifling through them. I have no idea, but I have 4 of the exact same poncho. It says New York Road Runners on the front. On the back, it's the marathon logo, which doesn't change. And the poncho has a hood. It's fleece lined. It has a little hook inside. And the whole thing is fleece lined. It's blue. It's warm. I love this poncho. And this is great. And when you finish the race, you have to walk a mile to get out of Central Park, which sucks. Then once you get out of Central Park, you pick up your poncho. And they actually, it's kind of like they crown you. It feels like you're in the medieval times where maybe you get knighted and, they put the shawl over you. So they put the poncho over you. They put the hood on and they Velcro you up. It's real. It's part of the New York City Marathon experience. And as I'm talking about this, I'm going to put the video up of me getting my poncho the last time I did the race. It's pretty awesome. So hopefully you didn't pick bag check because you're going to want this poncho. I mean, this thing is great. You can wear it to other races. And if you don't want to keep it, just dump it. But this is like a keeper. It's a great memento to have from the New York City Marathon. So hopefully you didn't sign up for bag check and instead sign up to get the poncho. Saturday is a big day for Shakeout Runs. New York City run crews are doing Shakeout Runs in full force. I have seen so many flyers for Shakeout Runs. Now look, run crews have blown up over the last, I say, 4 years. When I started running, there were like 2 running groups. Run crews didn't even exist in 2012 when I started running. So a lot of these run crews came on the scene in the last few years, and they are showing up and showing out in full force for New York City Marathon. So me, although I'm not running, I am going to participate in 2 Shakeout Runs. I'm a member of Adidas Runners New York City. They're having a Shakeout Run from their flagship store in New York City. I'm going to scoot over to there. And then after that, I am heading uptown to Mid-Strike Magazine Shakeout Run. Now, y'all know Mid-Strike Magazine. Those are my peoples, and they are having their second Shakeout Run. They had their first Shakeout Run for the Chicago Marathon. This Shakeout Run, I'm going to put the details on the screen. It starts at 9:30 a.m. at Columbus Circle. Columbus Circle is like the area of, the finish is a little further down, but when you walk back out of Central Park, you're walking back up toward Columbus Circle at the finish line of the New York City Marathon. So the Shakeout Run is going to start at Columbus Circle. If you didn't know, there's a mall right at Columbus Circle. It's indoors. The mall's at Columbus Circle. This is going to start right across the street in front of the Globe, in front of Trump Tower. If you didn't know, Trump Tower is right there. It's annoying to look at, but it's there. And the Globe is right in front of it. It's a focal point, so it's easy for you to find. The Shakeout Run is going to start at 9:30 in the morning. There's going to be a pre-yoga stretch, led by a special guest. And it'll be a 3-mile run up to the Javits Center, so you can pick up your bib after the Shakeout Run. Very convenient for you. And I think they're doing a post-run stretch as well. So that will be cool to meet some runners that are running the marathon. You can meet the founder of Mid-Strike Magazine, which is a magazine for diverse runners. It is the first digital diverse running magazine. So come out, meet the founders. You can meet some of the folks that write for the magazine. You can meet me. I'll be there supporting Mid-Strike and, you know, just shaking out. I don't know what I'm shaking out for, but I'll be there shaking out for the New York City Marathon. You know, it'd be nice to come out and meet some folks from out of town. So you need to shake out. Everybody needs to do a shakeout run before the marathon. You don't want to go into the race stiff. So come to one of these shakeout runs. There's a bunch. You can go on Instagram, find the New York City run crews. There's so many. Boogie Down Bronx runners, We Run Uptown, G-Fit NYC. There's so many run crews in New York City that are doing shakeout runs. Jack Rabbit is doing a shakeout run as well. You can go on their Instagram to find out that information. I saw Girls Run is doing it. It's so many shakeout. Just Google New York City shakeout runs and you'll find a bunch of them. There's something for everyone. And you don't have to be vaxxed. It's outside. Okay, on to Sunday, the big dance. There are a few ways that you can get to the marathon starting line. Now, logistically, the New York City Marathon is the absolute worst marathon to get to the start line. It's horrendous. I hate it. Everyone hates it. You have a super long day. You have to get up at the crack of dawn to get to the start line of the New York City Marathon. You are in for a long day. Trust me, I know. So there are a few ways you can get to the start line. Private transportation, meaning someone drives you to the start, you take a cab, whatever. Private transportation to the start. Now, keep in mind, the race starts on the Verrazano Bridge. The Verrazano Bridge connects Staten Island to Brooklyn. So the Verrazano Bridge closes from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you're taking private transportation to the start line, your transportation has to be off of that bridge by 7 a.m. And you need to account for traffic. You know, anything can happen. So you really, if you're having someone drive you, you're taking an Uber or whatever, you really need to be there by 6 a.m. to ensure that you get over the bridge and your transportation gets out of Staten Island before they close the bridge down. The other option is you can take one of the buses that New York Road Runners provides. They have bus stops throughout the city. They have bus stops in New Jersey at an assigned time that you have chosen. So you already know if you've chosen bus where you need to be and what time you need to be there. I don't recommend taking a bus. I'll tell you why a little bit later. The other option is private transportation. Through like a running group. Some run groups hire charter buses and they take their runners across the Verrazano to the start line. So that's another option. The last option is to take the Staten Island Ferry. And this is the option that you should take. Even if you have chosen a bus, if you are listening to the sound of my voice, unless you're in wave 1, take the Staten Island Ferry. Now, the 4 times that I have done the marathon, I have done 3 different ways to get there. The first year that I did the marathon, I took a charter bus, and it wasn't even a nice bus. It was a cheese bus. And they took us across the bridge, and they dropped us off in Staten Island, and we went and we sat in McDonald's for like 3 to 4 hours. It was such a long time. But the benefit of that was that we were in a warm location and not sitting out in the start village, freezing, sitting on the floor. There's nowhere to sit in the start village, nowhere. So unless you bring your own chair, which I don't even know if you can get into the start village because you have to go through metal detectors. Yes, you have to go through metal detectors. There's nowhere to sit in the start village, nowhere. So if you choose that option, just keep that in mind. But The other way I have gotten to the start is I've taken the train. Now, I live outside of the 5 boroughs. I live in Long Island. So I have to take the Long Island Railroad. I take that to Penn Station. Then I have to hop on the train, the New York City subway, and take that down to the Staten Island Ferry. The third way that I have gotten there, which is my best and favorite way to date, is I drove my car and parked my car at the finish line of the marathon, like 2-3 blocks away from the finish line. So once I came out of Central Park, I walked 2-3 blocks, got in my car, changed my clothes, freshened up, and then I went to an after party. So if you are local and you have that option, park at the finish line. That was the best yet. It is so comforting and nice to be able to just get in your car, put on warm clothes, and go where you need to go, and just not have to struggle with limping down the stairs, because everyone limping down the stairs. After that zombie walk, when everyone's in those blue ponchos, I'm going to put an image of that on the screen right now. It is a zombie walk. There are hundreds of blue ponchos. People are limping, they're struggling, and you don't want to have to hop down the New York City subway, because remember, the subway is down underground, so you have to go down like 2 levels of stairs. And I would just remember my friend going down those stairs backwards because she was hurting so bad. So it's nice to just be able to get in your car and just go where you have to go and not have to worry about public transportation after the marathon. So I said earlier that the Staten Island Ferry is the best way to go. And here's why. First of all, the Staten Island Ferry is public transportation. Anybody can take the ferry at any time that they want. I know New York Runners has you choose a time with your marathon details. You don't have to adhere to that time. The Staten Island Ferry is public transportation. They run a certain amount of ferries every hour. You can get on any ferry that you choose. So with these wicked start times of this year due to COVID, it is more beneficial for you to take the Staten Island Ferry. Number one, it's New York. It's November. It's cold. It's not freezing, but it's cold. Right now, the temperature says the low is going to be 45. The high is going to be 56. This is not down south 56. This is not West Coast 56. This is New York 56. So 45 degrees in the morning when you start the race is going to be cold. You do not want to be standing outside in Marathon Village for 3 hours before you have to run 26.2 miles. Don't do it to yourself. Trust me. Take the Staten Island Ferry. Now, the ferry terminal on both sides, on the Manhattan side, on the Staten Island side, there are bathrooms, there are restaurants where you can buy food, there is seating, there are chairs, and you can also just plop down on the floor. It's warm. So whether you sit in the terminal on the Manhattan side and just wait until you're ready to go, or just go to the ferry terminal and take the ferry over to Staten Island and wait on that side, you're at least going to be warm. You have access to bathrooms and food the entire time that you're waiting. So that is another benefit of taking the Staten Island Ferry. Now, if you take the Staten Island Ferry, make sure that you are on the Staten Island side at least 2 hours before your wave takes off. The reason being, once you get out of the ferry, there is a wait. And I'm going to show you a video of the last time that I was in that ferry station. There is a wait to get from the ferry station on the bus. So at the ferry station, you have to then take a bus, which takes you to the start line. Now, the first year that I took the ferry, it was public transportation, New York City Transit buses. The last year that I took the ferry, they had charter buses, so they were nice and comfortable and warm. But the last year that I took the bus, it took like 30 to 40 minutes to get on the bus. So that was quite a bit of wait. So you need to factor in all that time. And then although the ride on the bus to the start line is only like a 5 or 10 minute ride, It took a half an hour because they take the scenic route. They take you all around some back roads. I don't know how they take you, but it takes like a half an hour. So that's an hour right there. Then when you get off of the bus, you're in Marathon Village. You have to get through the security. You have to walk through the Marathon Village to get to your wave, your corral. So it takes a bit of time. And then if you want to use the bathroom, you need to factor that time in to wait online at the porta potties. There's going to be lines at the porta potties in the New York City Marathon Village. So that's why I say be at the Staten Island side of the ferry at least 2 hours before your wave starts. So that gives you ample time to actually get to the start village through security and to get to your corral. Now, if you're in the earlier waves and you're actually able to get to the village early, Dunkin' Donuts is always there, and they give out hot coffee, they give out donuts, and you get these cute little Dunkin' Donuts hats. Now, this hat is from 2015. You can see it's embroidered with 2015. The New York City Marathon logo is on it. And then the Dunkin' Donuts logo is on it as well. It's a cute pink and orange hat. They have the same hat every year. I only got it this one year, and I didn't get it from the Marathon Village. I picked it up off of the floor. Because people throw their hats away. You warm up while running, so people don't keep these. I picked mine up off the floor. I put it in the wash when I got home, and I have my hat from 2005, which is super cute. So if you get to the village early enough, you can get one of these from the Dunkin' Donuts truck. Otherwise, just pick one up off the floor and put it in the wash when you get home, because you'll see them tossed everywhere along the route. People toss them, drop them, or whatever, but it's a nice memento to have from the New York City Marathon. They're embroidered, they're cute, and you can't get them anywhere else. So scoop you up a Dunkin' Donuts hat along the way. So I'm not going to break down the course mile by mile because there's enough of those guides online. You can Google and find a breakdown of the New York City Marathon course, but I will tell you this, it is not easy. I mean, New York is not hilly. I mean, the Bronx is pretty hilly. Brooklyn has some hills, but there are a whole lot of inclines on this course. I'm going to put up my elevation chart from 2019, which is the last time I ran this. And it is a lot of up and down and a lot of steady climbs. Remember, you're running over, I think, 5 bridges. And the bridges are all steady inclines. They look flat, but trust me, they are not flat, and you will feel every bit of that incline on your calves. It is hard. Those bridges are hard, and some of them are very long. The Verrazano Bridge is very long. The 59th Street Bridge is very long. The other bridge is the 3rd Avenue Bridge. What's the other bridge called? I can't even remember. Look them up. The other bridges are short, but those 2 bridges are like 2 miles long, and you feel every inch of that bridge. So just mentally prepare yourself for the up and down. The course starts over the Verrazano, and then you're in Brooklyn for like 9 or 10 miles of the race is in Brooklyn. You are in Brooklyn for a long time, and once you get to like mile 6, you're like, dang, I'm still in Brooklyn? Yes, you're still in Brooklyn. The race in Brooklyn takes forever. And there's some parts that you go through Brooklyn. I'm not going to tell you which, but you're going to see where the crowd support is light. And the folks are just walking around like they don't see a marathon that's going on. When you get to that part, you'll know. Come back and tell me when you get to that part. You'll see that the folks are just walking around like New York City Marathon is not happening. But that's like the low point of Brooklyn. But the rest of Brooklyn is pretty hype. I'm going to be at mile 9 of the race, which is in Brooklyn between Bedford and DeKalb Avenue. I'll be with the Adidas Runners NYC crew. So if you're paying attention, once you get to mile 9, look out for your girl. Come say hello. I'll be out there cheering you guys on. And I cheered in Brooklyn before, so this will be my second time cheering in Brooklyn, my first time with the crew, so this should be fun. But I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the race. So make sure you drop your bib number, you post your lay flat so everyone can track you, so I can track you guys and say hey when you pass mile 9 on the course. So once you finish the marathon, there will be quite a few festivities going on in New York City. And this is like the first time that I am noticing that parties are happening. There have been like no parties in New York City due to COVID. Like, this is the first running parties that I'll be attending since 2019. So this is going to be interesting. Now, I'll be at the Adidas Runners party, and to get into that party, you have to be vaccinated. It is an indoor venue. I'm sure most of these parties, you have to be vaccinated. That's just the law in New York City. So if you're not vaccinated, I'm sorry, you can't go to any of these parties, which sucks, but that's the times that we live in. So once you finish the marathon, hopefully you have a change of clothes nearby and you can hop over to one of the after parties. I believe Harlem Run is having a party. There are quite a few parties. Just scroll on the New York City Run Crew's Instagram pages and you'll be able to find you a party. And a lot of these parties have recovery tools at them. I know the Adidas party will have the Normatec boots, but you have to RSVP for the party. You just can't show up. So don't try to just show up. You got to RSVP. But it's party and recovery. And I feel like when you finish the marathon, if you keep moving, you know, that lactic acid gets flowing and you won't be as sore the next day. So if you are able to get to a party, go to one. If not, just walk around New York City. You're going to be in New York City, the best city in the world. Walk around, go to Times Square, hit the tourist spots, go downtown, see the vessel. There's so much to see and do in New York City, and you can just walk it out and just walk off, you know, that marathon pain that you may and probably will feel on Monday if you don't walk it off. Speaking of Marathon Monday, it's like the best day ever. If you can, if you're local, take the day off of work and go into the city and celebrate Marathon Monday. I know a lot of the crews have get-togethers for their runners. New York Road Runners by Tavern on the Green. There's going to be a whole pavilion set up in Central Park, and that's like Race Central. So in that pavilion, they'll have the post-marathon gear that you can buy. Don't buy none of that gear, y'all. That gear is... The quality is just, since New Balance took over, the quality of the gear has just not been up to par, and it's so overpriced. And you can get the gear online for cheaper. A lot of people don't know that. Go online after the marathon and get the gear online. It will be cheaper. They also have metal engraving for like $27. Don't get that metal engraving. A lot of the run crews are doing engraving for free. In the shops at Columbus Circle, Jack Rabbit or New York Running Co., they're having like a big Marathon Monday event. They always have metal engraving there. I couldn't find a link to sign up this year, and on there they have an Eventbrite RSVP. I'll leave it down below. It's called the Repair Shop Post Marathon Recovery Lounge. So sign up. They're going to have recovery services. Hopefully they have the metal engraving as well, which is always free. So go check that out first before you go to Central Park and pay the $27. You might be able to get it done for free at New York Running Company, which is where I always get my metal engraved. So insider tip, a lot of people don't know that. So I'm hooking you up with a little insider information. All right, so that is all for my New York City Marathon Guide of 2021, things that you need to know. I hope that this has been helpful to you, especially if this is your first time running the New York City Marathon. Maybe you've run it before and some of these tips and tricks you didn't know, and hopefully you'll utilize them as well. I know as many times as I do the race, there's always something new that I find out, and I just put it in my arsenal and save it for later. So next time I run a New York City Marathon, I'll know what I can do better to just have a more efficient day. So enjoy running the best marathon in the world with 50,000 of your run besties. I will be out there cheering you guys on. I'm wishing you all a wonderful race day, and I will catch you in the next one. Later. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Run Wave. If you are a runner that has a story to tell, feel free to email hello@therunwave.com or shoot me a DM on Instagram at The Run Wave. Don't forget to follow The Run Wave on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We are The Run Wave on all platforms. Subscribe to our email list. It is listed down below in the notes of this show. And subscribe to The Run Wave on YouTube. The visual episode of this show will be posted there.